Okay, we've done it. We've gone live. Welcome to the third anti-show. I'll tell you, I was in no place to do the anti-show tonight. You know what? You don't want to hear that shit. Who wants to hear that? I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Let's have a good show. Well, that's all predicated on you, whoever sees this. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if anything's going to happen. I guess I can start with I was watching one of my favorite movies tonight, The Cook, The Thief, His Wife, Her Lover, written and directed by Peter Greenaway. Masterpiece of a film. Almost feels like a Stanley Kubrick film to an extent. It's like somewhere between, it's like you know what it's like? It's kind of like it's almost like a play, an opera, and a movie all combined somehow into one thing, and one cohesive story. It's masterful. Everything's masterful. The lighting, the music, the production design, the performances are over the top. I've seen this movie a handful of times, and it's one of those films you can just keep watching over and over again, and you learn something new every time you see it, that kind of movie. And this time I was struck by themes of, hell and heaven. Obviously, Albert is meant to be a metaphor for Satan. Michael, there's something Christ-like about Michael. He dies. I guess he dies for other sins. His body is, spoilers, literally eaten. I don't know. He's the keeper of knowledge, books. They're naked. There's some Adam and Eve stuff going on. There's a lot going on in this movie. It's a masterpiece film. I can watch it over and over again. Every once in a while. It's rated NC-17. It's actually, it comes on and off streaming. It's like one of those, it's an art house film, I mean, what can you really expect much from an art house film in a streaming market? I mean, oh shit. Sorry. I was just checking to see if I was online or not. Okay. I am for sure. Oh, we got a comment from Joe G says, I watched Grizzly Man after your video with Robbie. That dude was crazy. Yes. Grizzly Man, for those of you who don't know, is a documentary by Werner Herzog, another great filmmaker. He made this documentary about this guy who spent something like 17 consecutive summers in Alaska, just hanging out with bears. He started to document his time with the bears until him and his girlfriend were tragically killed and eaten by some bears. Really, really harrowing stuff. It's a great story. Even knowing it's weird. It's like you could watch that documentary not knowing the ending, and it's going to have an impact. And you can watch that movie knowing where it's going to go. And it's so you can kind of watch the movie twice. And I like movies that do that too. I like a movie where once you learn some information in the end of the movie, it allows you to watch that movie again in a completely sort of different kind of light way, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, that's Grizzly Man. And I'm floating here in the ether. That's the point of the anti-show. You are a participant. The anti-show is predicated on you, okay? I can only filibuster for so long. So and maybe it would help if I actually advertise these things and didn't just go live, on a whim, because that's what I do. I just go live on a whim when I feel like it. I'm not a slave to a schedule. And when I'm not slave to a schedule, this is what happens, right? This is what happens. So yeah, Grizzly Man's great. The Cook, The Thief, The Wife, Her Lover is great. You got to wrap your mind around that movie you can only begin to wrap your mind around that movie after multiple viewings. Okay. It's not something that you can just watch once, and be like, oh, I get this. Telescope is here. Telescope asks, thought about the new singer of Linkin Park being a Scientologist. I know very little about Linkin Park. I know that their live singer Chester ended himself in a very tragic, sad way, of course. And I know the album Hybrid Theory because it was like the biggest thing of 2002 to 2003, right? That was a huge record. Maybe it was 2001, 2003. I don't know. And that's really all I know about Linkin Park. And I guess they stopped being a band when Chester made his exit. Until recently, they announced that they had a new singer, and she is from some band that I do not know. I always find it interesting when a band, some sort of either a band, whether they're an active entity or they're just sort of reunite for a single show, when they replace their lead singer with a member of the opposite sex or whatever, a different someone of a different gender. I think there's a real sort of interesting philosophy behind that. It kind of reminds me of Macbeth, and it kind of reminds me of Lord of the Rings, which is also reminiscent of Macbeth. It's the idea that the witches tell Macbeth, hey, you're invincible. No man born of woman can kill you. And then when he meets Macduff goes, I was ripped untimely from my mother's womb, meaning that Macduff is not born of woman in that kind of way. Therefore, he exists outside of the prophecy, and therefore Macbeth is still vulnerable and Macbeth can still be killed, right? And it's the same thing in Lord of the Rings. The king of the ghouls, of the Nazguls, right? The king of the Nazguls is like, no man can kill me. That whole thing, no man can kill me. And then the woman, the girl, the Rohan princess girl, she rips off her helmet. She goes, but I am no man. And then she stabs the friggin', it's badass, dude. It's really metal. So it's kind of like that same philosophy. They did the same thing with Nirvana. Every once in a while, Dave Grohl, Pat Smear, and Kirst Novoselic, or whatever the hell his name is, they get together and they do like little Nirvana things. They did it with Paul McCartney. They did Paul Vana, which was interesting. They recorded a track, but they reunited and they had like all female lead singers. They had Joan Jett, and I just thought that was kind of cool because it's like, how do you can't replace Kurt Cobain? Like, you just can't. He's irreplaceable, right? And so I kind of feel like it's the same philosophy. I mean, to a much lesser extent, because I don't know. Come on, let's not try to compare Nirvana and Linkin Park here, but like the point being that like there's nobody who's going to replace that Chester dude who is obviously very synonymous with the band. So to have someone of another gender replace Chester, I think kind of is fitting. Now, all of that said, apparently this woman is a Scientologist. Here's the thing about Scientology, man. Like, it's all religions have their kinks, I guess, their quirks. It's hard for me to sit there, and I really hope I don't offend anybody, but like think about all the stories from the Bible and the Torah and the Quran, and I'm trying to be even-handed here. Think about all the wackadoo stories that are in those books that are sometimes taken as like the literal word of what happened, right? And then you look at a guy like L. Ron Hubbard, and he was like, yeah, dude, Xenu was flying 747s into a volcano 8 billion years ago. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, I mean, wow, what a cool sci-fi religion, I guess. I know apparently you got to pay a lot of, it's a pay to play religion, which I think is kind of bogus, Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Scientology is Scientology. Like, we all know what the deal is with Scientology, right? So, her being a Scientologist is, hey, To each their own, I guess. I can't. I don't want to. I don't want to yuck on anybody's yums. How about that? Like, exist and coexist, as long as they're not. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, they do a lot of really well. Everybody does a lot of bad things. All right, all right, all right. Enough of that. I digress. I digress. Matt's here. Matt's media reviews. Hey, Matt, do you review movies out of curiosity? I don't know if Matt's still here. Matt, do you review movies? If so, please comment in the chat. He says, Jeff, how do you deal with the existential terrors that plague a creator? Stagnant periods, trying to grow while working a straight job, etc. I'm feeling that with my music right now. Matt, you should send me an email because I can answer this so synonymously for you. I'm gonna plug myself here. I made a documentary about this very question that Matt is asking right now. He says, how do you deal with the existential terrors that plague a creator? Stagnant periods, trying to grow while working a straight job, and feeling it with, you said music. I'm going to use the word art. I'm going to expand it a little bit. I made a documentary about my journey as an artist called Kuyashi Gonzo, Blood Visions and Chaos Magic. And it's going to premiere live on this YouTube channel. It is a 105-minute documentary with footage spanning 20 years. It tells a crazy story about trying to make a movie just as COVID-19 hits, right? And then losing my job, and then wandering aimlessly for a year and a half, starting to do this YouTube thing, and then figuring out how to finish that movie that I had started, and somehow getting it to play in an Alamo Draft House, and it's, I don't know if you like American Movie, the documentary about, Mark and his trusty sidekick, trying to make Colvin, then you would like Kuyashi Gonzo, I think, or you would appreciate Kuyashi Gonzo. If you are a YouTube member or patron, you can watch Kuyashi Gonzo right now. So I'm going to release, there's going to be an extended version, and there's going to be the extended version's about 2 hours, and the theatrical cut, the YouTube theatrical cut is 105 minutes. So you should watch. My answer to your question is watch my documentary. It's my personal experience, and man, I have so much to say about it that I made a documentary. That's how much I had to say about it. And it's comprised of, believe it or not, long before I was on YouTube, I was doing video journals, man. I have hours and hours of video journals. And I realized while I was figuring out, like, can I tell a story here? I was like, oh my God, I have the entire story is documented in my video journals. I just got to pull the video journals from that window of time. And I bet you that will fill in all the missing gaps. And sure as shit, it did. And I somehow, it was like a puzzle. It became a challenge to fit all the puzzle pieces together. And I did. And it's going to be on this channel. You'll be able to watch it, Matt. So you should watch it. And if you do media reviews, you should fucking review it when you're done, whether you like it or hate it. So there. Telescope says Chester's family is against her singing and then getting back together. Okay, I mean, I can appreciate that. I can absolutely appreciate that. I'm not saying that the idea, the thought-provoking idea isn't sacrosanct. When Kurt Cobain died, Nirvana died, right? Like Sublime died when Bradley Nowell died. But like, that's a weird one because somehow I feel like they're still kind of, they're Sublime, dude, with Jacob. It worked. That works. That's a rare exception to the rule. As they're as close to Sublime as Sublime could be without Bradley Nowell. Could Nirvana get as close to Nirvana without being Nirvana? I don't know. Linkin Park? What would be, I think the problem here, and it's always the problem, it's brand confusion. They could go out and they could play all the Linkin Park songs they want as Linkin Park, right? Like they can go and do that. They should just do it under a different name. Call yourselves Hybrid Theory, right? Call yourself Hybrid Theory. Boom. Name yourself after the song. I tried so hard. We tried so hard to get the band back together. You know, people will get it. People will know you're still respecting Chester and his legacy. There's no brand confusion. I will never understand. Well, it's very understandable. It's money. It always comes down to money, guarantees. That's how it works. Cousin Jody Ramone is here. Hi, Jody. How are you? Thank you for the skull and the horns. How is the Misfits doc coming along? Pretty sure we're all looking forward to it. So I have hundreds of hours. I mean, not hundreds. I have like 100 hours of interviews. And what's interesting too is a lot of the people I interviewed are like about 13 or 14 of them have died. Okay. Paul Cripple from Reagan Youth, he just died. Joey Image has died. Basil has died. Dave Brocky from Guar has died. John Stab from Government Issue has died. Billy Stone has died. Howie Pyro has died. Just like a ton of people have died. It's really strange. Manny Martinez died. Dave Street died. The problem was sitting behind this computer is a hard drive that had the Resuscitated project that I started working on. Okay, I started actively working again in 2020 and 2021, right when everything shut down. I digitized all the tapes. I started working on it. I had timelines going, and then the drive crashed. It wasn't properly backed up. Yes, I know, my fault. And now I am left with the shambles of starting again, and it's just a matter of sitting down, plugging in, and tackling it from a completely different perspective. An entirely different perspective, potentially using elements that were once forbidden that I now think I can use because I think the way that I'm going to be releasing this thing is going to be very different than what I ever initially conceived. But it is my holy grail. It is my white whale. It is absolutely going to happen. For more information about this Misfits documentary, to see some of my amazing footage, Walter Lure died, Billy Rath died. I have so many interviews with people who have passed away, and it's like they can't stay on hard drives forever. Jason Trioxin died. If you want to know more, go to the Patreon, watch the Lodi files. That's right. Secret series that I do, the Lodi files that shows you a whole charcuterie board of that footage and some stories, some like behind the scenes stories of acquiring it. So, all right. I think that covers it, right? That covers that pretty well. Telescope says, Matt, I've allowed myself to open up to the philosophy of Socrates with the I'm sorry if I'm butchering this word. How do you pronounce that? Tripartite soul, tripartite. All right, we got to look this up. All right, guys, it's learning time. Tripartite. Sharing or involving three parties. Interesting. Okay, so it's three parties in the soul, aligning your stomach, your heart, and your mind together. Telescope, I friggin' love that. I instantaneously understand it, and I love it. I think that's great advice. Very thought-provoking. Excellent. Thank you for contributing that to the conversation. Joe says, hey, Jeff, I always wanted to say I always liked the Misfits, but because of your channel and the deep history dives really make me love the Misfits. Wait, sorry, let me read that again. Hey, Jeff, I just wanted to say I've always liked the Misfits, but because of your channel and the deep history dives really made me love the Misfits. Thanks, man. Hey, thank you, Joe, for watching. And that's great. The Misfits have always been a passion for me. And so like to revel in my passion and share it with others and maybe embolden and deepen somebody else's passion for something that they like. That's the greatest reward ever, man. So thank you I appreciate that comment. And, always There's always more coming. Well, I wish one of them would do an interview. We used to, whenever one of them would do an interview, we'd sit down and we would read the interview and sort of commentate on that. That was always good for a show. And there's been a while. It's been a while since we've had that. Cousin Jody Ramon says, Jeff, I'm glad you mentioned Dave Brockie. I watched This Is Guar the other day, and that, man, is a great watch. I went really in depth. I think I posted it was a short interview I did with him. He did it as Odorous in character for me. I went down to the slave pit in Richmond, Virginia, and it was just myself and Dave in the slave pit hanging out. I hung out with him for about an hour. It was so cool. I wasn't a Guar fan per se. Like, I always appreciated them, but I wasn't like a diehard fan. So I didn't come to him as like a fan. None of that sort of dynamic was there. So we really got to just talk. Dave told me at that time, I was like, Dave, you really need to make a movie. And he told me at the time that he had written one and that it was just something that was always on the burner. Not a documentary, by the way. He had a script for it and everything. He was going to email it to me, and he never did. And then he died like 3 years later. It was really, what a bummer, man. A very interesting guy, man. Very interesting guy. Matt says, where do I find your email? I started this channel to go over obscure B movies and various topics. My comic book videos have really taken off. Would totally review your doc. Fuck yeah, Matt. Yes, Matt. All right, here's what we're going to do, Matt. Send me an email at frumessmail@gmail.com. The email is down in the description of this video. Send me an email. Frumessmail, like the name of the channel. Frumess, FRUMESSMAIL @gmail.com. Send me an email and I will send you a screener. And I would love that. And I think I actually subscribed to your channel. I saw your comic book videos and I saw that they were taking off, and that's amazing. And I really, now I'm kind of curious to know what is it that you're struggling with, man? Like, tell me more about what your struggle is. Like, why is that? Why is it that you're struggling? I really think that if you watch my documentary, it will really speak to you, really, truly. I will gladly interview with you for you. I used to live on Misfit Central for hours every day during my teenage years, I wasn't a teen. Yeah, I guess I was a teenager, actually, when I first got on Misfit Central. I will never tell anybody what my handle was. Nobody will ever know. Nobody knows who I was on Misfit Central. And that is the way it must stay. That whole thing, the forum was wiped anyway. It doesn't matter anymore. Although I'm sure you could find stuff in the Wayback Machine, right? Matt says, also a Misfits related question. Do you think if Jerry hadn't sued Glenn, the Misfits discography would have fallen wayside after a certain point like Sam Hain did? That is a fantastic question. Let's consider. Well, so once again, I know this is like full of plugs. So if you go to the Patreon or the YouTube memberships, we went over the entire lawsuit. I think it's like we did something like it has to be at least 5, 6, 7 part show that we did, maybe even longer. Going over 120 pages of law documents about that lawsuit, trying to understand it and make sense of it. And a lot of it is filler and kind of like, there's a lot of it is in those documents, but there are these nuggets that are fascinating. And one of them that's interesting is I think there is some substance to what you are saying. I think it's possible, but improbable, because I think the Misfits sell way better than Sam Hain ever has. And it's perhaps the reason why it might have eventually reprinted, or he might have re-upped it or whatever, is because, essentially the Misfits absolutely helped to fund Sam Hain. If you look at it, if you look at the way that he released Legacy of Brutality, he put out Die Die My Darling, all while he's doing Sam Hain, all of that money at that time is going directly to him. It's going right into Plan 9 Records and funding Sam Hain and whatever else he was doing, that sort of thing. So I don't know. I feel like, and the fact that he was working on A Walk Among Us too, I don't know. It's not, I don't think it's the same. Also, mind you, his mentality has changed too, right? Like, this is like grumpy old man Glenn, Uncle Glenn today, doesn't really give a shit, he really doesn't seem to care, because there's a huge swath of Sam Hain bootlegs out there just freely being sold on websites. It's interesting how he and Jerry are so protective, far more protective of he's more protective of the Misfits stuff than he is the Sam Hain stuff. That's very interesting. Makes you raise eyebrows. Why could that be? But yeah, I think I don't know, man. Ultimately, I mean, here's the thing. Part of the reason why that box set had to come out in the 90s was because Caroline settled with everybody, right? Caroline settled with Jerry and all the rest of them for like over $1 million. They had to make that money back. You know what I mean? So, and by that time, Glenn had handed over the catalog to Caroline to do as such. So Glenn kind of got away without having to pay back royalties when he was the fiduciary. This is from those law documents, and I can't remember how to pronounce the word. He was a fiduciary. He was fiduciarily responsible to those guys, meaning that when royalties came in, he was supposed to make sure they got whatever was coming to them, and he didn't do that. So he got away scot-free. That's what kind of like enabled that too. He wasn't exactly in control of the catalog the way he had before. And the other thing that you have to realize too, and this is very important, this is probably the biggest revelation from reading those law documents for me, is the idea that, whether Glenn was the author of those songs or not, and he was the author, whether he had the publishing or not, Jerry has a very large ownership stake in those recordings, or he did, because he helped to fund them. So what I mean to say is, Jerry, if anything, helped arrange and maybe threw in a word here or there or whatever. He's previously claimed that he's maybe written 10%. Who knows? Maybe it's even larger, man. I mean, Jerry does know how to arrange shit. Jerry was kind of like the band leader, right? Like, of the instruments, counting them off, you know what I mean? Like, they were rehearsed without Glenn from time to time, right? It's like, you have to imagine Jerry had some kind of creative sauce in there. All those guys, when they're interviewed, talk about how they put their own creative flavor into whatever Glenn wanted them to do, even if Glenn was kind of orchestrating it. Putting all of that aside, friggin' Jerry was an owner of those recordings, man, as much as Glenn was. So he was entitled to whatever, however that works too. If Glenn's licensing something out, Jerry should be, Jerry, I don't know how that works now. I don't know. And I wasn't clear in the documents. I don't know where that all stands now, but I'm talking about in Jerry's lawsuit. Jerry was he had a stake in those recordings, rightfully so. So that when they're being bootlegged, when Glenn is putting out releases without Jerry and not paying him money, and Glenn tried to get around this by recording over the parts, but he didn't even really do that. He kind of played along the side. We go into incredible detail in the secret shows about this stuff in the thing. So I'm going to leave it at that, but it's a very good question. Very interesting. Matt continues, like, since Glenn was never legally bonded to re-release Sam Hain stuff, it makes me wonder about what would have happened to the Fitz discography. Well, I think we just basically answered that question for the most part, at least talked about it enough. JH says he first heard the Misfits, or they, I don't know. First heard the Misfits in 6th or 7th grade. That's interesting. Okay. Telescope says Doyle flat out said that Danzig wrote all the songs. Jerry doesn't have any Danzig levels of talent. Yeah, of course, Doyle has said that, and Doyle said that, especially when Glenn was, buttering his bread, I think it's more complicated than that, personally. And where was I around then? No, of course not. I was not. I'm just a fucking nerd on the internet. But in my scholarly pursuits of this material, in trying to historically understand all the pieces and the parts, I think Jerry played a larger role in facilitating Glenn's creative process than what Glenn is willing to, admit to, and it's not just that. I mean, I think that maybe that carried on for sure. Listen to John Christ talk about his time in Danzig. That really says it all for me to a degree. Telescope says, I ultimately don't think Danzig wants Damien to make money. I think that is part of it for sure. I think that's like kind of like an open secret. I think everybody kind of understands that now. Jerry's father funded them with a credit card. I don't know. Listen, I can't speak to that. I just know that Jerry secured money. Okay. Whether his father financed it, whatever the case may be, Jerry is what you would call a producer. You know what a producer does? Producer does a lot of things. I am a producer. Okay. But one kind of producer is someone whose sole purpose is to procure money, to get money. Okay. By any means necessary, whether you're earning it yourself, whether you find an investor, in this case, his father, maybe. We know that he's definitely, I think that if anything, he would borrow money from his dad. They'd go out on tour. They used the father's credit card to do that, but they had to pay the money back. It was like a bank, that sort of thing. So, I mean, Jerry was a producer, man. That doesn't, listen, Glenn couldn't have done what he did without Jerry. That's the bottom line. Okay. Like that is the bottom line. They were able to record as much as they did because of Jerry. You can't take that away from Jerry, man. You just can't. There's so much revisionism about this stuff, like, on the internet. I just don't believe that it's fair, and listen, that's not to say like, without Glenn, there is no Misfits. Like, I mean, Glenn's the spearhead, right? But there's a reason why it's not the Misfits when it's Danzig and Doyle, right? Like, you need Jerry. Jerry is part of that special sauce. And you know what's interesting about special sauce? It's sticky. Special sauce is always sticky. And you know what else is sticky? Riot Stickers, the sponsor of the Frumess channel. That's right. We have a brand new promotion going with Riot Stickers, okay? We recently had Sharpie Riot on the show. We did punk rock supergroup draft picks. It was a lot of fun. One of my favorite episodes in a long time. Just really, 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 really enjoyed that episode. And so here's the deal. It used to be that for $69, you can get 200 die cut stickers. Well, now you can get 100 die cut stickers for $33. So if you double that, that's $66, which means for $3 less than the previous deal that we had, which is riotstickers.com/Frumess, Frumess. Link is down in the description. You can get 200 stickers. So the deal has gotten cheaper. Or maybe you don't want 200 chicks. Maybe you don't want 200 stickers. Maybe you would prefer just getting 100. If you want 100, all you got to do is drop $33, okay? And that includes shipping, free shipping. And now here's what makes it even better. They're die cut stickers. That means if you want a sticker in the shape of, Glenn Danzig's face, well, don't do that because Glenn might sue you, but or get his permission first, or license his image first. But you can get it in the shape of his face. via the die cut process, which is where you take a computer guided scalpel to sort of create whatever shape you want around the circumference of your sticker and get that printed up. That's what a die cut sticker means. So go to ridestickers.com/Frumess, Frumess, to get your die cut stickers today. No way, Jose. And I'm going to play the little theme song and then we'll be right back. If anybody else has any other comments or questions or concerns or anything they want to share, this is the anti-show. I forgot to mention, what do we do at the anti-show? There's no plan. It's just an ongoing conversation, and it lasts as long as there is stuff to talk about. If you give me something to talk about, then I will talk. And if you don't, then we'll cap it. That's the way it works. All right, let me play the theme song.
We make stickers, banners, and buttons too, posters and promo cards. There's nothing we can't print for you. From stage backdrops to bass drum heads, we can print on shirts, we can print on hats, we can print on pants. Cheap prices and high quality, quick turnaround times and free shipping. We also offer free artwork support, great customer service, and so much more. RiotStickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. RiotStickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. RiotStickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. RiotStickers.com, Riot Stickers, we are the bomb.
And that is a promise. Okay, we're back. It's the anti-show. What does that mean? It means that we're not doing any of our normal formats right now. Just again, to let you know, we are just freeballing it right now. Coming up, what is coming up? Coming up is the month of October. That's kind of like our Super Bowl month. We're going to be doing horror movies 24/7 for 31 days in the month of October, baby. That's right. I would try and watch as many horror movies as I can in the month of October. Our kickoff show is the last day of September. That's where we're going to go over and raise awareness for what we're going to do. And then we're going to go out and do it. And every week, I'm going to sum up whatever I watched for the whole week, as well as do short reviews. And then those reviews will eventually go out as their own videos, probably in the month of November. Some other housekeeping items. I still haven't chopped up that last John Christ interview I did. I've just been so friggin' busy with other things, and I've been meaning to get to it. I know John and Erie played, or not, they didn't play together, but they did Horror Hound. He talks about that in the interview. This is going to be a little dated, which annoys me, but what can I do? It's just, life gets in the way. What else is coming up that I can tell you about? We're reading The Road Warrior. The first chapter has dropped already for Patreons and YouTube members. That's right. We did the novelization of Mad Max. Now we're doing the novelization of The Road Warrior, and soon we'll do the novelization of Beyond Thunderdome. These novelizations are different from the movies. We've already done the novelization for Return of the Living Dead, which you can listen to in its entirety on the channel. And we also did a Stephen King book, which is behind the Patreon wall and the YouTube membership wall. So check that out if you like that sort of thing, as well as we're doing the Puss Head tape as a secret show. That's another thing we've been doing. So another one of those is coming up. I got some interesting topics. I'm trying to secure some interviews. I had a couple things in the pan and those kind of went. So I got a couple of my eye on a couple of couples. Oh, Damien from Sam Hain will be back on the channel. We just had him on because we did a show about Funhouse. When in early November, Damien will be back to discuss November Coming Fire here on the channel. So that's going to be a hoot and a hanny. So check that out. I'm shooting another feature-length film, by the way. I might have talked about this a little bit. Yes, it's called My Shadow. You can learn more about it on the website. Go to frumess.com/My Shadow to learn all about My Shadow. It's my third feature-length narrative film, okay? First one's called Romeo's Distress. You could watch that for free on this channel. The second one's called Gouge Away. You could watch it if you're a YouTube member or a Patreon member. Wow, I'm doing a lot of plugging tonight. But yeah, I mean, I never plug that stuff. So don't be too angry at me. It is the anti-show after all. I'm allowed to do that. Anything goes on the anti-show. Anything goes. All right, we got some comments. Let's go check. Let's go check and see what's here. Glenn hates boycotting, but stole his logos from it. Yeah, well, what are you going to do? Matt's Media Reviews asks, have you ever heard of the theory that Cough Cool was about smoking? I don't know why, but my dad used to tell me that's what it was about as a kid. No, I've not. We did sort of try to decipher what cough. So one of the shows that we've done previously, and one that I've been wanting to do again, myself and Robbie Bloodshed, and we had Russell Casualty from tvcasualty.com. We all got together and we tried to decipher what Glenn was singing about. And those got chopped up themselves. The show is called What the Fuck is Glenn Danzig Singing? And I want to do a Sam Hain version and then maybe a Danzig version too. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But we talked Cough Cool. We talked about Cough Cool on this channel. There was a very interesting interpretation about Cough Cool being about a vampire potentially, or some kind of vampiric sort of theme going on. You can watch that clip. Just type in Frumess Cough Cool and see what comes up in YouTube. He also said that he heard harpsichord, which I never heard anywhere else. Just sounds like a distorted electric piano. I don't think it's a harpsichord. I think it is a Fender Rhodes piano, which is what Glenn was playing at that time. That's what I think. Minister is here. Hi, Minister. Thank you for the skulls. I appreciate that. We got to get you and us a Glenn interview. That'll never happen. Not the hit. Glenn Danzig doesn't like me very much, and that would never happen. But it would be amazing. That's like the ultimate interview, right? The ultimate interview. Telescopes. Oh, interesting. I feel like it's about the masquerade of the Red Death in Cough Cool. That's a good theory. I like that. I like that for certain. Dan is asking about the ranch bottle. Do I have the ranch bottle handy? Ha ha ha. I love that story. Dan, I'm going to bring out the ranch, the blackened ranch now. It's black now. I'm going to bring out the ranch just for you. Hold on one second. All right, this is for Dan, since Dan's referencing his black ranch. That's what instead of her black wings, his black ranch. That's what we're going to call it. And Dan, just because you said that, I'm going to give you a Danzig per salute. Wait, what? Here it is. This is Glenn Danzig's ranch dressing from 11 years ago. If you want to hear the whole story about how I procured this ranch dressing, I was with Dr. Chud when I procured this ranch dressing. I was with Dr. Chud and Sal B. It was myself, Dr. Chud, and Sal B in Glenn Danzig's dressing room. Probably the only time I can ever use that in a sentence, but that is true. And this was my souvenir. This is my good. Everybody's got a collector's items and stuff, and I've got a couple, but this is the greatest collector's item of all. I showed this to Garcinio Hall, the guy who does 2 Minutes to Midnight, because that's when I told the story initially, was to him, and he was absolutely disgusted by the color that it had turned. It's been this darkened color for about 4 years now. I can't wait for it to turn black. Maybe when it turns solid black, I'll like pour it out. No, I don't think I ever will. I don't think I will ever open this. I just love that. I love this so much. I can't even tell you. I wonder how much I can get for it on eBay. So there you go. That's just for Dan who asked for it. That's Glenn Danzig's blackened ranch dressing. You didn't hear that from me. Come on. Steve Zing can't hook you up with the Danzig interview. I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Toxie Media, shameless plug. It's not a shameless plug, it's a plug, and it's a worthy plug. I'm all about it, especially from anything that John of Doom wants to plug on my channel. He's always welcome to plug. Shameless plug, new Robbie Bloodshed 7-inch Shadow of Mystery releasing October 30th, and a brand new Voice of Doom LP into the further releasing November 1st on We Are Horror Records. Get some. Friggin' awesome. Congratulations, guys. I love that. Just these guys are always putting stuff out. Go check out their releases. Hey, John, put the link down in the comments too, somewhere, for people can order that. Additionally, Robbie, here's a little piece of trivia. I saw today Robbie's song Radium Girls was inspired by one of my live streams. He watched the live stream about that what we did when we talked about the Radium Girls, and that's the song he wrote. So I was like, when I saw that because I was just like, oh, whatever happened to that song? That was a great friggin' song. And now it's coming out, which is great. I also think it's great. Instead of doing albums, I like just 7-inch EPs make more sense in this day and age. Just makes sense. Dan says ranch dressing room. That's right. Jody wants to see the Night of the Living Dead shirt. God damn it, Jody. It's fucking. Who am I to deny, Jody? All right. Yes, Robbie is an amazing singer. All right. Jody wants to see the Night of the Living Dead shirt. Oh my God. I don't have my key on me. Fucking hell. The things I do for you guys. All right, Jody, hang tight. Guys, I'm going to play the Riot. Oh no, you know what I'll do? I know what I'm going to do. All right. All right. This no longer works anymore. The storefront tier link is down. Guys, I make t-shirts too. They're very expensive because of it's print on demand, because I can't afford to actually print them all at once. I just can't do that. So I have print on demand. So here are, if you want to buy t-shirts, there's links down in the description where you can buy some of my designs. They're print on demand. I've seen the quality. It's good. It's good. I think Riot Stickers is better. If you really want to get t-shirts, you should go to Riot Stickers. But I'm just going to play this so that way I can go and get the Night of the Living Dead shirt for Jody Ramone as he has requested.
T-shirt casualty, T-shirt casualty. Very tight. T-shirt casualty, T-shirt casualty. Very tight. I wish Jeff made some t-shirts too. Hold on, I think he does that too. I can order them in the description below, and I can impress those friends that I know. T-shirt casualty, T-shirt casualty. Very tight. T-shirt casualty, T-shirt casualty. Very tight.
Okay. All right. We're back. All right. Here are the t-shirts. These are just for, whoa, what's this? Do I have more in here? What else is in here? Oh my God. All right. These are shirts that I got printed up from Riot Stickers. Look at these. These are the last remaining Video Business Media. Before this was a Frumess channel, it was a Video Business Media. Look at the quality of riotstickers.com, by the way. Okay. This is for you, Jody. Here we go. All right, here's the Beware shirt. I did not pay a cent for these shirts, okay? These shirts came to me via a mysterious benefactor who I interviewed, who had so many more. He must have had 25 shirts, and he said, pick 3 that you really like. So I picked the Beware. I took this Vampirella. Vampirella, and my personal favorite. And I guess it was a good thing I got them. I don't know why I got them signed. It was so stupid. I was going to get Bobby. I was going to try and get everybody to sign them initially. And I only ever got Joey Image. Joey. I had Joey sign the shirt. I don't know if that depreciates the shirt, but I was like, fuck it, whatever. Look at this. Hand colored by Glenn Danzig. This shirt is absolutely from 1979, 1980. Look at that. And I mean, it's old and dirty, but I mean, God, is that fucking cool. I really need to get it behind glass or something. One of the coolest things I own. Absolutely, for sure. Just my passion for this stuff brought me to someone who, you know, was willing to give me some cool stuff. I'll tell you this. I'll never forget, you know who gave me a button, a Sam Hain button once was Steve Zing. One of the cool, it was my birthday, and he goes, "Here, I got something for you." He tosses me an orange Sam Hain button, the only button that they put out officially. And he said, "Take good care of that. There are not many like it." Never forgot that. God, that blew me away. The generosity. It was really fucking cool of him to do that. He didn't have to do that. He saw how much I love this stuff and how much I cared about it. And I guess he wanted me to have it. And it's like weird because I kind of want to rock the button, but I'm also so afraid that it's going to get like destroyed. So it's like one of those weird things that like you want to cherish, but you also don't want it. You don't want it to be destroyed. I don't know. One of my good friends was best friends with Elizabeth B. She was friends with Danzig and the members. I know. I personally knew Elizabeth. I've been to Elizabeth's apartment in Washington D.C. with Mark Kennedy from Misfit Central. She was amazing. She had a box, and on top of the box was, Doyle's choker collar and all those photos. He was just chilling right there. She had an incredible collection. She was a sweetheart. She was not a photographer for them. But maybe she photographed Danzig. I don't think so. She spent a lot of time on the road following Danzig. She was good friends with Devilman and Tank. And she had an incredible collection, and she bravely and valiantly fought cancer. And she, an amazing woman. Elizabeth was an amazing woman. Awesome. And I interviewed her as well as a fan. I interviewed her. So she's in my project too. Yeah, it's a catchy song, Jody. T-shirt. Guys, this is turning too much into a Misfit show. But I guess it's an anti-show, right? I've been watching since the video days. Ha. Wait, you mean just like early? Yeah. It belongs in a museum, Indiana Jones. That's right. Thank you, Jeff. And the Sam Hain pin was a great rare gift from Steve. Yes, it was. It really was. That was an amazing birthday present, truly. What was I going to say? Yeah, the shirts are cool, man. The shirts are cool, but it's like, again, I got to put them in like a glass. I got to find a good glass like container for them and keep them there in that kind of way. We're reaching the hour, and I don't know. Again, the anti-show is up to you guys. This has kind of been like a retread show and tell. I don't mind showing and telling, but gotta keep it fresh somehow. Jody says, I might need to try the Wednesday cereal. It is really good, man. Big fan of the Wednesday cereal. I used to review cereal a lot on this channel, and I turned into a fat fuck. I'm still kind of a fat fuck, but much less so. So I stopped reviewing cereal. But then when I saw that Wednesday Addams cereal, I was like, I got to review that cereal. How could I not? So review that cereal I did. I assume Matt says, I assume you're a fan of the classic Universal horror pictures. I've seen you cover some classics on this channel. Still need to check out your Nosferatu video, though. Yeah, listen, I just want to say, whatever I say in that video in regards to Nosferatu, I love me some Nosferatu. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, there's some problematic origins to Nosferatu and Dracula for that matter. But you know, it's just funny how nobody really like puts two and two together. Maybe you just got to be, you know, you got to be in the know to know. I love all the class. I love all those Universal class. I mean, I watch anything, man. I watch, you know, I watched whatchamacallit, the precursor to the Wax Museum, the one from 1932. I watch silent movies. I'll watch anything, man. I watched Todd Browning's what's it called? The carnival picture he made with Lon Chaney before he made Freaks. I forget the name of it. The Unknown from 1927, I think. I went to the Alamo to see that. Old Dark House is great from James Whale, which is the basis, by the way. That's all of the DNA of the Rocky Horror Picture Show can be found in the Old Dark House. That was a revelation to me. Yeah, I love all that stuff, man. I really do. I used to go to shows with her. Talk about Elizabeth B. Last time I saw her was 9 Inch Nails. She was an incredible person. I have her copy of the Peter Steele Playboy. Mark lives close to me. We have mutual friends. I haven't spoken to Mark in a long time. I got to hang out with Mark years ago with Elizabeth. It was really cool to hang out with both of them. Mark is an amazing dude, and everybody who knows anything about the Misfits only knows so because of Mark. Mark is like the friggin', you know, the fulcrum of all this stuff comes from Mark. Jody says, is there any rock documentaries that you would recommend? A lot of them. I just watched the Damned documentary is really, really great. I don't know the name of it. It's free on Tubi. You can support the actual filmmaker, whoever. You can legally stream it on Tubi. So you should go do that. That's a great one. Anvil, the story of Anvil, that's a great rock documentary about like never giving up and like talking about pushing through. What's that guy's name? Matt's movie review. Yeah, Matt's media reviews. Talk about pushing through. You got the story of Anvil is a great one. That's a great documentary. I really want to watch the documentary about Jerry Lee Lewis, who's a fascinating character. Yeah, that's something I definitely want to see. Obviously, if you've never seen it, watch the Ramones End of the Century. It's a pretty run-of-the-mill doc, but it's still cool. Still cool to see their story. Pixies, Loud, Quiet, Loud, about the Pixies reuniting in 2004. Amazing documentary. Amazing documentary. 9 Inch Nails is one of my favorites. Nice. Sharpie Riot and Riot Stickers is in the house. Hello, Sharpie. Do the Halloween that almost wasn't. What is that, Sharpie? What is the Halloween that almost wasn't? Looking this up right now. Halloween almost wasn't. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, it's a TV special. I'll throw that in the queue as well for sure. Got to do that. Who's your favorite movie Spider-Man? Oh, I like this one. All right, this is going to surprise you. My favorite movie Spider-Man is Andrew motherfucking Garfield. I think he nailed the perfect balance. I don't mind the new guy. Tom Holland is fine. I think Tobey Maguire is a terrible Spider-Man. However, I love the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, particularly Spider-Man 2. Mwah, chef's kiss on that. But Andrew Garfield, pound for pound, is, to me, he's such a good Peter Parker. He's a great Spider-Man. I love that he's not muscular. Not that Tobey wasn't, but Tobey was a little chunky. He was a little beefy. Whereas, and Tom Holland is not, he's kind of got like sleeper strength. Like he looks kind of like the Peter Parker proportions, but he doesn't have that Peter Parker essence that Andrew Garfield has. Andrew Garfield to me is the ultimate Spider-Man that we've had thus far. And you know who would have been a great Spider-Man too? Freddie Prinze Jr., man. Freddie Prinze Jr. was in the running to play Spider-Man. He didn't. He got beaten out by what's his face? He would have been a great friggin' Spider-Man. Hands down. Riot Sticker says New York Doll, the best rock doc. Amazing. I think with Sharpie, I think we talked about that previously. New York Doll is the story of Arthur Killer Kane, bass player for the New York Dolls, who converted to Mormonism and then got tapped to reunite with his old band. It's a really touching human interest character piece, and can't recommend it enough. I do agree. It's a great rock doc. 1979 kids Halloween movie. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check that out for sure. Jody, it's amazing, unbelievable rock story, will touch your heart too. It really did. He's such a beautiful man, Arthur Kane was, towards the end of his life. And you know what kills me? I have an interview that I did with Steve Conte, who was part of the New York Dolls reunion, and the interview did not like the quality, like his connection was terrible. So the quality of the interview, like aesthetically, always bothered me. I've had it for 3 years and I haven't done anything with it. I really should. And he talks all about recording with the New York Dolls, and it's a really cool. It was a good conversation. Really need to upload that. Yeah. Telescope is going to order some stickers soon. That's very good. Take advantage of this special deal, man. You can get 300 stickers for $99. Think about how insane that is. Free shipping. 300 stickers, $99. You cannot beat that price. You go to riotstickers.com/Frumess, link down in the description. We already did our sponsor segment tonight. Matt says, do you like the Cocteau Twins or Lush or any of the other 4AD bands like that? So I know who the Throwing Muses are because of their association with the Pixies, and obviously I'm a huge Pixies fan. I never got into the Cocteau Twins. Not that I didn't want to. It just has not. I know they're kind of like post-punk goth. I don't know anything about them. I really don't. But they definitely sound interesting. Maybe it's time to dive in. Telescope says, I love shoegaze music. If you're into shoegaze, I suggest checking out the band Nothing. So I also like shoegaze, but not like Jesus and the Mary Chain. I am one of my favorite bands of all time is the Ravenettes. Okay. I've been seeing first time I saw the Ravenettes was 2004. And I've seen them they're one of the bands I've seen more times than any other band. I've got to say I've seen the Ravenettes about 8 or 9 times, something like that, which is a lot for me. Ravenettes and Pixies are the 2 bands I've seen more than any other band. And my God, I love the Ravenettes. And I know their whole body of work, particularly I'm very intimate with those first 4 records, Whip It On, Whip It On, Chain Gang of Love, Pretty in Black, and Lust, Lust, Lust. And obviously, I like In and Out of Control. I like Raven in the Grave. I like, what the hell is the name of the next one? I love that EP they did as well in 2012, four-song EP. I like the 3 EPs they did in 2008 too, the digital-only releases. I love the Ravenettes. I could talk endlessly about them, especially those first 4 records. They reunited and they came to New York and I missed their set, and I'm really upset about that. Well, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Have I heard the new Cure song Alone? No. In fact, I think the extent, this is kind of embarrassing, the extent of my knowledge of the Cure is Love Song and Boys Don't Cry. And that's all I know about the Cure. Nothing is shoegaze meets grunge. That sounds good to me. That's an interesting sort of juxtaposition. That would be, Jared asks, do you think that death rock horror punk could ever be as good as it was back in the 80s, 90s? Still seems like it has potential that hasn't been tapped into, in my opinion. All right, so here's the weird thing about horror punk. And I got to know a lot of those. I got to know a lot of the horror punk guys over the years. Okay. What before I became acquainted with Blitzkid, who I toured with and worked with extensively for a window of time. I thought that horror punk was a one note thing. I kind of rolled my eyes at horror punk because I was like, dude, it's the Misfits. The Misfits did it. Like everybody else doing it, it just pales in it's one thing. You can't, there's no way to do it again. Like it just, everything is like, there's no point in listening to any of it. And then, my mind kind of opened up. I started to really enjoy and appreciate Blitzkid's music as I got to know the band more and understand their roots and what they were doing. And then I started to appreciate some Mr. Monster songs. And I knew the guys in Mr. Monster too. And then I fell in love with Nimvin's music. Nimvind and Zombina and the Skeletones really blew my mind open. That was the first thing. Before even Blitzkid, it was Zombina and the Skeletones. I heard them in 2009. I fell in love with that band. And I was like, okay, there's like more to it than what I had thought. Although I don't think Zombina and the Skeletones would want to classify themselves as horror punk. And then, I would go on. I met the guys in the other blood-sucking zombies from outer space. I knew them too. I knew the Crimson Ghosts. I knew all these bands, Crypt Keeper 5, although they're not really horror punk. I got to know all these bands, Stellar Corpses. Before that, that went south. It's kind of weird. Like, I guess that's my connection. I mean, to a scene, that was my sort of connection. I got to know all those guys, So now I see that it's a lot more diverse, is what I'm trying to say. It's a lot more diverse. And now you have band. Listen, Robbie Bloodshed, he's been going for a long time, and you have like Voice of Doom, and you have who else? You got Bobby Steele's been doing the Undead. That's not really horror punk, but he gets lumped in with that anyway. Some of these bands get lumped into horror punk without really being horror punk. Like again, like Crypt Keeper 5, I would say. I'd say that first demo, the Crypt Keeper 5 might have been. I got to know the Jasons. I got to know Cancer Slug. I got to know Calabrese. I actually really, really enjoy Calabrese's music. When I first heard it, not so much, but those later Calabrese records are phenomenal. And it seems like every time they put out a record, they get more and more death rock, and I love it. I love it. We had Davey was on the channel some years ago. That was a good time with Davey. Who else? I don't know. In any case, then there were like later bands, like way after all those guys, and I don't know nothing about them. I don't know anything about them. It sounds, from whatever little stuff is like filtered my way, by that time I was long out of associating with any of these people. And yeah, I don't know, man. Like I don't know nothing about it. Whatever. I don't know. So can more be done? I guess, yeah. It's like, I thought was very close-minded to think that the Misfits were the beginning and end of that sort of thing. And, death rock is very different from horror punk. They're two completely different like things, even though they have a little bit of overlap. None of the bands I just spoke about, with the exception of maybe Nimvind and maybe some of the later Calabrese stuff, would qualify as death rock in any way, shape, or form, So it's kind of interesting how that stuff all kind of, some of it's like metal, like almost like metal, in a way. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird though. I don't know, John, I don't know My Bloody Valentine. I really don't, man. I really don't. Yeah, I want to see Corey Feldman do Danzig covers. That's what I want more than anything. Oh, we have to do an episode dedicated to Corey Feldman and like, what is his long game? I love that guitar solo In fact, they're like Fred Durst. Like I love that Limp Bizkit took. You know, it's funny. I don't know anything about Limp Bizkit's music, but I think I really like those guys. Like just that they don't take themselves seriously. They kind of know that they're like goofy as fuck, and they like lean into being goofy, and it makes them more awesome. You know. Matt says I loved the first two Calabrese records as a kid. You know, it's funny that I think those first two records are doesn't really they don't really jive for me. I like the Danzig one. I don't forget the name of it. The Danzig one is friggin' amazing, where they're trying to like literally do Danzig one, and then the two records that follow that is that stuff is amazing, really good. Do I know a band called Defiant Brood? I'm good friends with them and they're horror punk. What are your thoughts on Murder Folk? I don't, if I guess Murder Folk is like, are you talking about like folk songs? I feel like all folk songs are about murder. That's why they're called murder ballads. And Nick Cave did a great tribute concept record about it. So, you know, I think Nick Cave has kind of written the word on that. I don't know who Defiant Brood is. I guess they take their name from the Archangel lyric, maybe. I don't know. Riot, Sharpie Riot. There was a horror punk band called the Villians, and they were really cool. That's right. Sharpie was the lead singer of said band. Okay. That's another one of those bands from that era that I am referring to. And they played shows with all of those bands that I just mentioned. Okay. They were, you know, so it's like, and it's funny how like that kind of era it's over now. Like it's not like it's gone. I don't know what is, if anything is like horror punk anymore, period. Like, I don't think I don't know. I mean, I'm incredibly ignorant. I don't know any of the newer bands that came cropping up afterwards. But the one thing that I can tell you for certain is that every time I listen to something, it's just a very derivative. It's just a very derivative, man. I think one of the big problems with horror punk, or one of the big problems that horror punk always had, is that it was an incredibly small scene. Everybody was in a band, and everybody who was a fan of somebody else's band was also in a band. So you kind of like this weird overlap, you know? I don't know. It's really, really weird. Really weird. Riot says, I consider MCR a horror punk band. I know most people don't, but I do. You know, I haven't listened to enough MCR to qualify that, to be honest. I can't speak on that. I do know that they are from New Jersey, and they've covered Astro Zombies, and that they're very much inspired partially by the Misfits. I could understand. I've seen some of their imagery, so I guess that could track. That could make sense. Yeah, Son of Sam gets lumped into the horror punk thing. I don't know if they're exactly horror punk. Like, you know, they're doing they are a continuation. They are an unofficial spin-off continuation of Sam Hain. That's the point. The point is like, we can't do, it's so funny too, because it's like why can't Linkin Park do that? Do literally what Son of Sam did. Just call yourself a variation of whatever the thing is. Be a spin-off, be a New Order, you know. It's funny because Son of Sam, that first record, has Glenn Danzig, it has London May, and it has Steve Zing, right? And it has Todd Youth, who was playing playing guitar. So in the Sam Hain reunion from '99. So it's like technically the complete lineup of that Sam Hain reunion is featured on Son of Sam on various different tracks in different ways. I don't know. I just think like there's a way to do Linkin Park without calling yourself Linkin Park, and Son of Sam very tastefully did that. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. Yes. Okay. Brain Eaters. Joe Truck, who's the brainchild behind Brain Eaters, who like 14 years ago, Joe and I drove down to South Jersey to go hang out with Billy Rath from the Heartbreakers. And I had been familiar with Joe because he had put out this EP, the Night Must Fall EP. There were a bunch of these unreleased. We had Joe on the channel. We had Joe on the show not too long ago. He had some great songs. Torture Garden, The Unman. I like Brain Eaters a lot. He's got a new version of Brain Eaters now. Eric, you're always too late to join the conversation. Always. I love Only Theater of Pain. One of my favorite friggin' records, man. A masterpiece record. I named my first feature film, Romeo's Distress, is named after the song Hello. We had Ed Culver, who photographed Christian Death a lot. We had him on the show. That was really friggin' cool. Yeah, I love Only Theater of Pain. I also like the first those other two records that have both Roz Williams and Valor. And the first one being the real masterpiece of that lineup, of that incarnation of Christian Death, which is still technically valid. Catastrophe Ballet is an amazing record. That's where that's what I know of death rock as well as TSOL. So that's where that is for me. So Sharpie Riot thinks that Corey Feldman is tricking everyone. He knows exactly what he's doing to get media attention, and it works. I'm inclined to believe that as well. Actually, I agree with you, Sharpie. I think he is absolutely taking the piss out of everyone. He knows that what he's doing is goofy. I do think that some of that goofiness is genuine. Like, that's just who but here's the thing. I think he's so like based in who he is. Like he has such like a firm foundation of himself that he just doesn't care what anybody thinks. He's like, I want to be a singer. I want to be a singer, and I want to go out there and do what everybody else is doing. I'm going to do Michael Jackson moves and do my thing. And you know what? He's doing it, man. He's out there. He's opening for Limp Bizkit, man. I mean, people are booking him. John says, of course, the Godfathers of Death Rock, 45 Graves, to listen to them. That's another. I have Mary. I interviewed Mary. She's in my project too. Friggin' 45 Grave. John, I believe we were at that show when they played New York all those years ago. That was cool to see live. I'd love to see the classic lineup reunite. Sleeping in Safety, great record. Paul Rossler, Don Bowles from the Germs, and who else was in that band? I forgot the name of the guitarist. Murder Folk are bands like Harley Poe and Amigo the Devil. Yeah, I've heard of Harley Poe. I know the Harley Poe covered the Pixies actually, but I am not. That's as deep as I go on that stuff. But okay, all right, Murder Folk it is. Outside of punk and garage rock, what are your favorite genres? Well, I don't know about favorite genres, but I listen to a lot of stuff. Like I like reggae, I like ska music, I like Madness, I like what else do I like? I like Barrington Levy. I like this is gonna blow a lot of people's minds. I like the Grateful Dead. Yeah, that's right. I friggin' said it. I like the Grateful Dead. Yes, I enjoy Grateful Dead music. I do. There's sometimes I can get lost in that jam stuff. I mean, here's the thing. It's like it fundamentally goes against my soul because I am a punk rock. I have a punk rock soul in my heart. I need the urgency of the 2-minute, 30 seconds, fucking ripper. You know what I mean? But at the same time, there's a time and a place where I want to listen to Dire Wolf by the Grateful Dead, which by the way, would make for I'd like to see someone do a death rock version of Dire Wolf. That would be fantastic. I like Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds a lot. they're not really punk. They're just, you know, I don't know what they are, but I find his music to be very interesting. Like I said, Murder Ballads, incredible friggin' record. I like Meatloaf. I love the Beatles. Everybody know, some people know my deep affection for the Beatles. I love the Beatles. Thoroughly love the Beatles. I love ELO. I love El Dorado by ELO. Electric Light Orchestra is a masterpiece record that I can listen to over and over and over again. Yeah. John of Doom knows that the Murder Ballads is a great friggin' record. Top to bottom, every single note on that record is masterpiece. I like Nirvana. Obviously I said I like the Pixies. I like the Strokes. You know, I guess that kind of falls a little into punk rock. Trying to think. There's a Lana Del Rey song that I like a lot called Get Free. Basically, you know, I have like a mix that's on Spotify. It's called the Music Sampler, but it's spelled kind of, find me on Spotify and you'll find my mix. And it's like I love the Pukes. They're punk, I guess. I don't know. You asked for genres. I mean, I like new wave. You know, I hate to say this because it's so cliche. I pretty much listen to anything, man. Good songs are good songs. Okay. Oh, don't you hate that? Don't you hate that? But it's also true. It's also true. Nick Cave really is killer. He really is, man. And his, you know, I don't know if anybody belongs to the Red Hand Files, but he always writes very interesting answers to people's questions in that. I like that a lot. Dan says, not horror punk, but Twin Temple. I fucking love Twin Temple. And they toured with Danzig. Oh my God. Let's have a satanic orgy. I love Twin Temple. Love them. You could put their entire discography on shuffle, and I will just listen to that with such delight. I've yet to see them live, but I really want to. I love King Kong and the Barbecue Show, which is, I guess, garage rock, garage punk. Rapid Fire. Are the UFOs real? You know, Sharpie, we did all of these questions on the first anti-show. You were the one who asked them, Sharpie. Are UFOs real? The answer is yes. If so, what are they? They're unidentified flying objects, but they are absolutely real. I know that's not the answer you want. We 150 billion% landed on the moon. That is not even, there's none of that conspiracy stuff is true. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. We landed on the moon, Sharpie. Who killed JFK? Believe it or not, I think it was the mafia. Straight up. The mafia. Here's the thing. JFK was fucking with the mob's money, and you don't fuck with the mob's money. So ultimately, it was the mafia who had JFK assassinated. That's my belief. I think it's that. I think that's the Occam's razor of the situation. Eric says the only real horror punk band is the Misfits. The rest are biters. See, I don't believe that anymore, Eric. I used to agree with you. I don't think so, man. I think that there's all the bands I was talking about earlier. They all have like something interesting to contribute to the table, whether it's a handful of songs or their entire discography. There's something, there is merit to it. And I'm not just saying that because I know so many of them, but like, I really do believe it. I really, really do. Jody Ramone says, I think the flying objects and people in charge know about them, possibly ours. Yes, I think that we do know. I think we do have that knowledge, or that our government knows. But I don't know what it is. It could be time traveling humans. It could be aliens. I do believe in aliens. I think it's statistically impossible for there not to be aliens. We've been over this. Jody Ramone wants to know what the last question. I already answered that. I have heard of Southern Death Cult. Eventually, they evolved into The Cult. I've listened to a couple of their songs. I have them in some of that playlist I was talking about. I forget the names of what those songs are. I find them interesting. Oh yeah, dude, how was Riot Fest? Sharpie Riot went to Riot Fest. He saw Sublime, and he says that they sound great. Thank you for that report. They have yet to come to New York. I'm very excited for when they do. I will be there with bells on. Sharpie, who else did you see at Riot Fest that you really enjoyed, out of curiosity? Amigo the Devil will bring you to tears. Okay. I'm not opposed to it. Like I said, I haven't listened to it. Jesus Christ. How many fucking did I ignore? Oh my God, there's so many comments. Guys, I got to wrap this up. All right, let's power through. Riot says, I think UFOs are real and I don't think humans made them. I'm 50-50 on the moon landing and I think the CIA killed JFK. I mean, listen, it's not somebody killed JFK and it wasn't just Lee Harvey Oswald. There was more to it than that. On that, I agree. I think we 100% landed on the moon. I will say this about the moon landing. We 100% landed on the moon. However, the notion, the logic behind filming a fake moon landing to save face at that time and what it would mean for our country is not it's not a crazy notion. I could understand the logic behind that. However, I really truly think it's crazy to believe that we went to the moon, dude. Of course we went to the moon. Of course we had to. Amigo, the devil will take you to tears. Listen to everything. All right. We know enough about Amigo, the devil. We will. The 47 Roswell case is legendary. I don't know. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying, like, I'm sure they found something extraterrestrial there. They had to have, right? Like in some way, shape, or form. Voice of Doom says, unpopular opinion for sure about the dead, but I get it too. Also, fish are insanely great when it finally sinks in. Greg Ginn gets it too. Yeah, Greg Ginn loves the Grateful Dead. I cannot get into fish. I have a lot of friends who are fish fans, but I really do love the Dead. I'm not afraid to admit it. Okay. And I'm going to do one more for you. I'm about to blow everybody's mind. This is my deepest, darkest secret. You can call me a fucker, but you know what? It's important. It's healthy for me to say this out loud. I don't give a fuck. Fuck all of you. I'm about to say what I'm about to say. All right. Ready? I also like the Dave Matthews Band. That's right, motherfucker. I just said it. I like Dave Matthews Band. Yes. That's another jam band that I appreciate. I appreciate the aesthetics of what they are doing. I think their drummer, Carter Buford, is an amazing fucking drummer. And here's one more hot take that is so hot, it's going to burn the roof of your fucking mouth. There is very little difference between Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds and Dave Matthews Band. They are basically Dave Matthews Band, but with like goth music. Okay. If you just cover Dave Matthews Band in black paint, you know what I mean? And make them all goth and shit, you get Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. They both have a fucking violinist. They're both doing, there's some fucking Nick Cave songs. I'm like, holy shit, that sounds like a Dave Matthews Band song. I know that is literally the lamest, possibly one of the lamest statements ever made. I don't care. That's the music I like. Fuck all of you. I like lots of different music. That's another one I like too. Fuck you. I like the Dave Matthews Band. How about that, motherfuckers? Unpopular for sure. Dan says, I think UFOs could be interdimensional, possibly time travelers, also aliens, all three. Sure. I could get behind that. Sure. Why not? 100% Glenn wouldn't have been able to fund it without Jerry. Yeah. I don't know why you're going back to that, but yes, unless did we overlap on comments somehow? Glenn hates boy. Yeah. These are old comments. How did we get back up there? That's interesting. Oh, I see. We sort of, Jesus, how did that happen? I think UFOs could be okay, here we go. I missed Riot Fest. I've been to like 6 or 7. RT, such a great lineup this year. Yeah, I would have, man, it's been a while since I've been to Riot Fest. I would like to go again, but it was hard. No wrap up. This conversation goes on forever. Listen, the anti-show is just an ongoing thing. Anytime, every once in a while we do an anti-show. That's the goal of the anti-show. I'm sure he would want you to believe that he did that. Yeah. He sure talks about it in Who Killed Marilyn. It ain't a mystery, baby. That's Media says, I remember one of the X-Men movies said JFK was a mutant. As long as you don't like Ricky Martin, we're good from us. What? You don't like Livin' La Vida Loca, baby? Come on. Who doesn't like Livin' La Vida Loca? Livin' La Vida Loca. Her skin's the color of mocha. I propose. Holy shit. I would love that. Would literally be the greatest fucking thing in the world. Dave Matthews covering Danzig. That would be amazing. That would sound so fucking good because those guys are so. Have you ever listened to, do you know who Tim Reynolds is? Go listen to Stream on Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds live at Luther College 1994. Holy shit. Can that guy play guitar? I've seen him live too. Here's the thing. I don't understand the hate behind Dave Matthews Band. I just don't fucking get it. I do get it. I do get it actually. Here's what it is. It's not the band as much as it is their fans. It's the same thing with Fish. It's the same thing with Grateful Dead. It's the same thing with Sublime. It's the same thing with Misfits. That's right. From the outside perspective, Misfits fans are insufferable. Okay. Just like ICP fans, Insane Clown Posse, there's a lot of fandoms that are kind of cringe. There's nothing more cringe than Dave Matthews Band fans. I can't stand them. They are the worst people alive. 311 fans, I love 311, but 311 fans, ugh, you know what I mean? I think that's what gives them such a bad rap. They're just like white bread jam band rock. But the reality is, you listen to any one of those records. Now, here's the thing. I have not really listened to any Dave Matthews Band record after the year 2000. I don't think the songwriting is good. But when you listen to any of those 90s Dave Matthews Band records and you listen to the drumming, you listen to the fucking chemistry that those guys have, the songcraft, it's really fucking good. Powerful, soulful shit. You listen to them do the cover All Along the Watchtower. Really fucking good, man. I just don't understand. I don't get the fucking hate. Is it because he's just like a goofy fucking, yeah, he's a goofball, man, but whatever. The music is really fucking good. You can't deny it. And I'll be honest, I have been ashamed to like that music, and I have kept it to myself publicly for years. This is the first time in my life that I am admitting that verbally, publicly, that I like Dave Matthews Band. Because you know what? I just don't give a fuck anymore. And it's okay to like whatever it is that you fucking like. Okay. Even if it really sucks. All right. So go ahead, fucking rip on me, shit on me, piss on me. I don't give a fuck. I like what I like. My friend Rich is really into Ween, and I've heard great things, and I just never listened to Ween. But I know that the Ween community is really a tight-knit, like loving community, and therefore it's definitely worth exploring on some level. Right. Sharpie says we haven't left low Earth orbit since the moon landing. NASA says the technology to pass the Van Allen belt has been lost. I don't know if I believe that, man. We got to be able to do it. I feel like, especially like considering the technology that we used to get to the moon was like more primitive than what was in like a Nintendo in 1990. How could we not be able to do that? Wow, that's a great bill. I just saw the Circle Jerks and the Descendants and the CJs. I better say CJs with Surfboard opening up this week. They kicked ad. Oh no, ass. You can't say CJs on YouTube. They get very mad. Whoop whoop. Sharpie Riot says whenever a band does something different and gets mega popular, people are just going to hate. I mean, there's definitely that, but like why, and maybe it's worth doing a whole show on it. Like, why do people hate Dave Matthews Band? Like, I mean, the name is terrible, but again, like when I like listen to I'm going back to their drummer and Stefan Lessard, the bass player, and they have a saxophone player, Leroy Moore, who passed away, and Boyd Tinsley who's playing the fiddle. Again, I'm like looking at their configuration, like, dude, this is Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. So Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds is cool, but Dave Matthews Band is not. If it was like Dave Matthews and the Bad Seeds, would it like somehow be better? You know, do I have a favorite canceled band? Give me an example of what constitutes a canceled band. Exactly. Look it up. I will, Sharpie. I will. I definitely will look it up. Guys, I am going to peace out because I have to wake up super early tomorrow. I'm going to give this another 5 minutes. Another 5 minutes, then we're going to wrap it up. This was a great show. I think this anti-show was better than the second anti-show, but I think the first anti-show was the best one yet. But you guys definitely brought it tonight. A little too much misfit stuff. But listen, I don't control the flow of the topics here. It's up to you to decide, right? That's your prerogative, not mine. Once again, just to reaffirm, riotstickers.com, our sponsor. You can get 100 stickers for $33. You can get 200 stickers for $66, or you can get 300 stickers for $99. What a fucking deal. Link is down in the description. Sharpie Riot loves the anti-show. Jody Ramone says, I found End of the Century documentary. I'm going to watch it before bed. Peace and hair grease. Good. Peace and hair grease. Everybody's going now. Everybody's leaving. I'm leaving too. That means I'm leaving. Guys, this was a great show. Thank you. Peace and hair grease. We'll do it. Peace and hair grease. We'll do it all again real soon. Have a great night.